the areas of nanotechnology, hydrogen production and storage, and biofuels. He has been working as the lead engineer for setting up of demonstration of process intensification unit at HPCL refinery. It's a new subject, an R&D subject for most of us. Catalytic decomposition of methane, production of hydrogen is being achieved without a byproduction of carbon dioxide. Mr. Rajiv Kumar.
Thank you, sir. Respected chairpersons, my co-speakers, and distinguished delegates. This presentation is slightly deviating from the other presentations where we have discussed about controlling the emissions. And my presentation will talk about what if there are no emissions, what if there is no CO2 production. So this is a new technology which is being developed at a laboratory scale. HPCL has collaborated with IIT Delhi under the Hydrogen Corpus Fund on this technology. Just to give a brief introduction, as you all know, hydrogen is a process utility currently. It is used in mostly in refineries. It is produced from natural gas, petroleum, naphtha, and its application mostly is in ammonia manufacture. That's about 49%. In petroleum refining for DHDS, DHT hydrocracker units, which is about 37%, and for methanol manufacture, which is about 8%. Hydrogen, as we all know, is a environmentally clean, and also apart from as a utility, it can be used as a future transportation fuel. As we all know that work is being done on hydrogen cars. No pollutants will be released during combustion. The product is H2O, and it's having higher heating value than conventional fuels. The production routes. We have few production routes for hydrogen. The major one being the steam reforming of methane, and other ones are the partial oxidation of hydrocarbons, autothermal reforming, gasification, where we produce syngas. New technologies which yet to be commercialized are splitting of water and biomass conversion of fermentation. All the processes which I mentioned above they produce carbon dioxide, which is obviously pollutant. And for example, the steam reforming process produces about 13.7 kg of CO2 per 1 kg of hydrogen. And this process, a new process, is a thermocatalytic decomposition of methane. It's a single-step reaction where methane decomposes to carbon, a solid carbon, and hydrogen, and where there is obviously no CO2 production. And this carbon which is being produced is in the form of carbon nanofibers or carbon nanotubes, which are currently used for various applications, and therefore they are valuable byproducts. The difference between other process and this process is majorly there is no production of CO2, and the reaction conditions are slightly less severe. The research objective of our work was to develop an eco-friendly process for hydrogen production, which was a objective, and as part of that, one step was to develop a novel and efficient catalyst which give high conversion of hydrogen from methane and produce value-added carbon byproducts, and also to characterize the produced carbon products for high-end market applications. From the literature, work has been done worldwide on this subject, on this thermocatalytic decomposition, where they have reported on the metal catalyst that metal catalyst nickel and nickel copper was first reported for this process, and the activity, the type of metal being used will be determining the activity, and it is of the sort of cobalt and nickel on the higher side, and platinum, iridium at the medium level, and palladium, copper, iron at the lower scale. Nickel or nickel alumina and iron alumina exhibited the highest activities, and the nickel copper alumina showed more advantage over nickel alumina. In general, there is no agreement among the researchers that this particular catalyst is the best, and the general reaction mechanism is, even though with different catalysts, it is similar. The factors which are influencing the activity and stability and structure of the carbon are the chemical composition, the preparation method of the catalyst, the process parameters, and the promoters being used. The catalyst preparation. The catalyst preparation can be done in two ways. Apart from this, which we have tried in two ways, one is vacuum integration and co-precipitation method. And the research work which we are currently doing, we have used the metals such as nickel, iron, cobalt, and the supports alumina, silica, and zeolites. And promoters which we used for the catalyst preparation was copper and zinc. The studies which we have done on fixed bed reactor system to evaluate the impact of parameters like catalyst preparation, the impact of metal loading, the impact of temperatures, space velocity, the promoters. And we have analyzed the methane conversion or the hydrogen production and what is the formed carbon byproducts characterized of. This is a simple experimental setup where we have a reactor, fixed bed reactor, and we have the supply of methane to the unit which is heated, and the product after the reaction, the product is routed to a GC to analyze the hydrocarbons, and the data is recorded in the computer. I would like to share some of the results of we have tested with various catalysts. Some of the results I would like to highlight, which shows the impact of various parameters. On a cobalt alumina, cobalt is the metal and alumina is the support. On a cobalt alumina catalyst, we have tried to study the metal loading, which is varying from 30% to 70%. 30% to 70% we have increased the metal loading. So as the conversion increased with metal loading up to 50%, and higher loading has increased the deactivation of the or reducing the reaction. With this catalyst, the maximum conversion which was observed was about 78%, and the conversion was stable with runtime. The stability is also issue for this for this process. It's a challenge. Then another catalyst which we have tried was nickel of various metal loadings over silica support. This catalyst was showing the high conversions at the initial contact time or initial startup of the reaction, and there was a gradual, if not steep, gradual decrease of the conversion as the reaction progressed, as the time progressed. And again, here also the metal loading was important, and about 50%, at a 50% metal loading, the conversion was higher. And with this catalyst, what we have observed was about 76 of methane has been converted to hydrogen, and balance remains. And to evaluate the preparation method, catalyst preparation method, as I said, there are two methods: wet impregnation and co-precipitation. So we have prepared nickel alumina catalyst with both the methods, and we try to study the reaction pattern. Here, with respect to temperature, the conversion has increased for both the catalysts, and the conversion with wet impregnation catalyst was slightly higher, about 10% higher than the co-precipitated catalyst. And with this catalyst, it was 40% nickel alumina. With the conversion, what we have seen was about 82%, the highest value. Now, on the effect of temperature. Temperature is again important parameter, because as we say, it is the reaction condition should be less severe. We need to target the temperature, the moderate temperature. So studies have been done at a temperature from 500 to 700 degrees centigrade with a catalyst which is 50% and 60% nickel over alumina. Here with this catalyst there was a stability with the runtime, as you see a kind of straight line with the runtime. The conversions was stable, and the highest conversion was seen at about 700 degrees centigrade, which is about 85% conversion. Now, effect of promoters. Apart from the metals as well as the supports, we can add some promoters like copper and zinc to the catalyst to increase the activity. So, to study the effect of promoters, we have taken a 60% nickel alumina catalyst, and we have prepared some catalyst which is one without any promoter, the CT2, which is with 5% zinc and with 5% copper and zinc each, and with 10% copper and zinc. And we have studied the carbon yield, which is indirectly proportional to the hydrogen. So this promoter study indicated that the promoters addition has increased the yields, but however, if we have increased a certain level of promoters quantity, it has caused deactivation. Therefore, up to a certain extent, these promoters are helping to increase the reactions, but not more than. The space velocity, the resistance time of the reaction. It's also important parameter from the process point of view. we have taken a nickel copper zinc or alumina catalyst, and temperatures which are ranging from 600 to 800 degrees centigrade. We have changed the GHSV, that's the gas hourly space velocity of methane, from at a lower of 3.6 to about 15. At various space velocities, the conversion has changed, and the highest conversion was seen for a minimum space velocity. It means maximum resistance time. It means higher resistance time has been favoring the reaction, and the conversion also, as we see earlier cases also, the increase with the reaction temperature. If we consider a constant value of 3.6 liters per hour gram catalyst, the conversion was seen about 70% at the temperature. Now coming to the carbon being formed, produced. So the carbon being formed, what we said was carbon nanofibers, has to be characterized using an SEM, scanning electron microscope, and transmission electron microscope. At a lower temperatures, when we have the one done with the reaction, at lower temperatures there is no filamentous or fibrous carbon being formed, was observed. And with increasing temperature, as the conversion increased, as well as the carbon formation, which is filamentous carbon formation. At a metal loading of 60%, the carbon formation has been highest, and as the loading increased, it has increased the deactivation. The carbon fibers formed, or carbon nanotubes, they are having an average diameter of 50 to 60 nanometers and length of about 500 nanometers. And the SEM and TM photograph shows some hollow centers, which indicates that these are multi-walled carbon nanotubes. I'll show some pictures of the carbon nanotubes. These two pictures are the SEM photographs of the carbon nanotubes being produced. For a 60%, on the left side it is a 60% nickel alumina co-precipitate catalyst. On the right side it is a 60% nickel alumina catalyst. So these wire-like things, or these fibers, are actually the carbon nanofibers which have been formed in the reaction. And if you see in the right side picture, the white tips on the fiber is the spent catalyst which is being there. And a much closer look will be from the PEM. On the left side, we can see a nickel alumina catalyst, one particular fiber. So as we measure the dimensions of this particular carbon nanofiber, the diameter was about 41.4 nanometers, and there is a hollow space in the center which is about 6.7 nanometers. And this spacing, if you see in the right side photograph, the spacing, the hollow space between is higher, and which shows it's a multi-walled nanotube. Coming to the conclusions, this research work is currently in progress at IIT Delhi. I have presented what have been analyzed till now, and what are the conclusions till now. What we understand from the studies was nickel metal, out of various metals which we have tried, nickel metal having the higher tendency for conversion in comparison with the other metals like copper and iron. The metal loading increased the activity of the catalyst, but however, high loadings over 60% has promoted deactivation of the catalyst. The wet impregnation method has yielded higher conversion, slightly higher conversion, as I said, 5 to 10% in comparison with the co-precipitated catalyst. High temperatures increase conversion once again. At temperature at a more than certain limit like 750 degrees centigrade has increased the deactivation. And promoters and space velocity of the resistance time has reasonable impact on the conversion. And overall, the maximum conversion which was obtained was about 85% of methane has been converted to hydrogen and carbon nanofibers. The carbon nanofiber formed was overall approximately the OD was 50 to 60 nanometers, internal diameter was 5 to 50 nanometers, and the length was about 400 to 500 nanometers. This study is currently in progress, and we are trying to achieve a higher conversion with different more catalysts and studying more parameters from the process point of view. I would like to acknowledge CHT, OADB, and Scientific Advisory Committee MOPNG, and the Steering Committee of Hydrogen Corpus Fund for guiding us to the project and directing us in a correct manner. Thank you, sir.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Rajiv. Thank you for giving an insight into the future of refinery hydrogen source, and that was a green process for a green fuel. you very much. I thank all the speakers for their wonderful presentations and handing over to the chairperson for handling the question and answer session. Please. Over to our chairperson.
Each of you have received questions. You get each of you 1 minute each. Then I will take 3 minutes.
I have received questions from the director, Mr. S. Gambli, also of the referee. First one, what is the disposal method of solid particles left in this process? Sir, we collect the catalyst particles in a filter bin, filter bin, at the bottom of the clarifier. It contains 50% water, 50% solids. We keep it, we have 3 filter bins. We keep it as a standby. Once the water dries out, then you send it to Taloja through MW, Mumbai West Management for landfill. If what is there, the weight will be more, the cost will be more. See, allow it. That is why we have kept one more sphere. So there is a quantity which will be handled by a disposal committee for operations flow. I understand the cat loss is 0.5 to 0.8 tons per day. So it takes around 7 days actually. Earlier, as per design, to be every day. Every 24 hours it is to be disposal. So it is not up to that level till now. We have not exceeded the catalyst charge also. It is CSI management. The next question is Mr. V. Suresh, DGM Technical, BPCL, Mumbai Refinery. He has 3 questions. What is the water quality required for the design flow of the gas? So water should be free from oil and it should be having less than 50 milligram per chloride. The entire metallurgy is SS 360. Entire metallurgy of this unit is SS 360. So stress corrosion due to chloride is a concern. So you have to maintain a chloride.
Our is 316.
Make up water less than 50 milligram per liter. Sorry. And it should be free from oil because we have experienced it. Oil is, if we used to use stripped sour water, if we root it, then it contains some 70 ppm oil. We thought it's nothing. But when it landed into the oxidation tower and got dispersed in the agitator, it dispersed after dispersing it goes into the filter cloth. Final pulsing unit. Our filter size is 0.3 micron. We blocked the entire thing. We did not initially identify what is the cause of this failure. Then we realized this is because of that. We have cut off this stripped sour water. We are presently using IATP, RO outlet or the fresh water. These are the 2 objects. And in fact in future I have not considered. And revolving one is instrumentation. There is not much of instrumentation, it is only caustic solution. There are suction probes from the suction. In each pump suction there are 2 probes. So from that pH of the suction directs the flow, it is cascaded to the flow, caustic makeup. So accordingly it is directed. And the makeup water is also, there are 2 losses. One is the evaporation loss through the stack, another one is the pulse stream that I am taking out. So accordingly the makeup flow is adjusted based on the load bottom level. There is not much of instrumentation over there.
Thank you.
I have a question. How final hydrogen product is separated from C or the hydrocarbons? This will take the normal route like what we have in the other process, the PSA unit, where after steam reforming we have the PSA for separating the hydrocarbons and giving the pure hydrogen. Other question was, coke laydown must be happening on a catalyst. How is it separated? Yeah, coke laydown. Yeah, we have seen the carbon formation on the catalyst. So the regeneration of the catalyst is yet to be studied, and how to be regenerated, and the coke has to be separated from the process. I have few questions more. 70% cobalt alumina. How do we achieve? I think this is being done with the wet impregnation method, where we could achieve this thing. And the highest loading, the uniformity of the metal distribution, it was being characterized, the metal after production, it has been characterized using this TGA and XRD techniques. And this again repeat question, since carbon is main product, how will we deactivate? There is some deactivation which we are seeing, which has to be, how do we regenerate, which has to be studied. and economic feasibility is yet to be established after we complete this lecture. Thank you.
Thank you.
MG road Bangalore అమ్మాయిలు చూడాలంటే MG road
It's not possible to answer all these questions. Okay, I have received couple of questions from Mr. V. Suresh, DGM, BPCL Mumbai. Sir, your first question is, instead of MDA, can we use DA in option 1 of